y'all ready to get your feelings hurt? I'm going to warn you right now that I'm really spicy today. Before I tell you what today's sermon is about, you probably read the header coming in. But before I tell you what today's sermon is about, I really need you. I need every one of us, myself included, to collectively take a deep breath. To collectively take a very deep breath. Not the kind that you're like, oh my God, I need to take a break. Not that kind of deep breath. Not the kind that you take while you're waiting for me to hurt your feelings, okay? A real deep breath, because I want you to really be in the moment today, and I want you to really listen. And I'm not trying to gripe at anyone in particular, because some of this, like I say, like I've been saying almost every Sunday sermon, some of this is for me. Like, my ass needs to hear this too. Today's sermon is titled, Loyalty Begins at Home. Choosing yourself without abandoning your humanity. And you know, somebody asked me the other day what today's sermon was going to be about. And I said, you know, I don't decide until that morning. And I had one of those mornings where I was looking around and I was having all these weird text messages roll in about things. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm watching videos from all over the place. I'm watching people not take accountability. And I'm watching just a snowball, right? And I know that this sermon will fall on deaf ears. I do. I know that the vast majority of those of you guys that listen to this are going to be like, you know what? You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Like, let me make a change with myself. And even if just one person does that, that'll help. But the people that actively need to hear it are not going to hear it. Do you see what I'm saying? Because today we're talking about loyalty. But not the kind that demands you to be quiet. Not the kind that chains you down to something. Not the kind that forces you to look a certain way or dress a certain way or wear a certain thing. Not the kind that asks you to disappear to prove your devotion to something. Not the kind that asks you to suffer in silence to prove that you are loyal to that thing. Loyalty begins at home. In your body, in your soul, in your family, in your brain, in your mind, in your spiritual self. And I'm going to show you guys something that I found a couple of weeks ago when I was unpacking a box. And I've been carrying it in my pocket ever since. And it's probably something that you will never see. This right here is a challenge coin. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, I've seen challenge coins. Not like this, you haven't. This is a challenge coin that was only awarded to those veterans that survived the attack on Pearl Harbor on the 50th anniversary. It is also engraved with my grandfather's name on the back. I carry this with me in my pocket every single place I go now. Every single place I go now. This is one of my most prized possessions, this little bitty tiny thing. And I felt like I needed to show you guys as we're talking about loyalty, and it has nothing to do with the military, and it has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with any of that. I'm talking about those people who have shown loyalty to you, who have shown loyalty through their actions, through their words, through everything they do, not just saying they're going to do something and then maybe they'll do it later. Not just saying they're going to help and then never helping. Not just whatever, but those people that have actively been loyal to you. And we're also going to talk about the people that you have shown loyalty to. And who you probably forget to show loyalty to. And I know a lot of you, when I say you forget to show loyalty to this person, you already know what's coming, don't you? Loyalty to yourself is not selfish. It's survival. And there is a difference between surviving and living. There really and truly is. But loyalty to yourself is vital to your survival. I know all of you guys have heard the song. It came out, I want to say, in the right before 2020, or maybe it was 2020. Me, Myself, and I. I know you guys have heard that. Solo ride until I die, because I got me for life. And a lot of people hear that song and think, oh, that's very, very... Really pay attention to that. Or do you identify with that one song so deep that it just makes you even more determined? Because somewhere along the way, somewhere throughout your life, you were taught, all of us were taught, that loyalty meant endurance. That loyalty meant staying in a situation that you knew damn well was not good. If you stayed long enough, if you loved that person enough, if you worked hard enough, if you did this, if you did that, if you did that, if you sacrificed enough, it would show that you were good, that you were loyal, right? But loyalty that requires that you betray yourself is not loyalty, it's conditioning. True loyalty to yourself sounds like some of the following. And when I say these things, I want you guys to really listen to them. Because when I was doing a little bit of research and woo-sawing, calming my ass down before I wrote this, I was looking at some different shadow work prompts about being loyal to yourself. And these are the 3 that really hit me. And I know if they hit me, they're going to hit you. So just brace yourself. Like, put your feet on the floor, sit down, whatever you need to do. Because I'm asking myself these 3 questions really hard today. These 3 starts. The first one is 2-part. This hurts, and I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't anymore. The second part is this a pattern? True loyalty to yourself looks like you actively saying, that hurts, and I'm not going to pretend anymore that it doesn't. The second one is, what is that pattern, and does it end with you, or are you perpetuating it? And the third one is a statement. It's not so much a question, but it's a shadow work prompt, and it's a statement. Are you ready? I am allowed to change my mind as I grow. Because loyalty to you means that you stop abandoning you just to keep the peace. And for a lot of people, for a lot of us, for everyone, that is one of the biggest, bravest things that you can possibly do. Is to stop abandoning yourself just to make other people fucking happy. True loyalty is really, really revealed under pressure, if you think about it. Loyalty shows itself when it costs something. When it costs you time, when it costs you money, when it costs you distance, when it costs you things. Loyalty really shows itself when it costs you. When things are easy, everyone shows up. If I were to say right now, hey, I'm going to have a shindig at the church, and I'm going to buy everybody food and drinks and there's going to be a bounce house and we're just going to have fun and so on, everybody would show up, right? You can come for free. It's all on my dime, right? Everyone would show up, yeah? Even people that hate my guts, they would show up. When we're all sitting back, chilling, sitting out at the fire, talking about ghost stories, everybody's comfortable. Everybody agrees. Everything's hunky-dory, right? But what if I said, you can only come if you put in 4 hours of work? Doesn't sound like a long time, does it? But it's also a pretty long time when you're doing things like ripping out drywall, cleaning up a cemetery, tearing down moldy paneling, mopping floors, things like that. It's a long time. How many people would show up? And really, before you guys are like, oh, I would show up. Seriously, ask yourself, are you willing to give up 4 hours of your day to go do hard work for somebody that you don't really know because they need help? Pay attention to who is loyal. Pay attention to who would do those things for you. Loyalty is revealed when it's not convenient. When you are not convenient, when you are no longer useful to someone, when you say no, that's when loyalty is revealed. And pay attention to who respects your boundaries. When somebody asks you for the 19th time to loan them money and they promise they'll pay you back, never paid you back before. So when you say no, what do? When someone asks you to go do this or do that or go here or go there or pick them up and do this on your dime in your car with your money, your time, etc., for the 5th, 6th, 7th, 32nd time, and you say no, like, dude, you got to put in on some gas money or something, like, I can't float you this time. What do? Pay attention who respects your boundaries and who tries to negotiate them or walk all over them. Pay attention to those people who celebrate your growth, who are right there beside you, helping you be better. Like, I'm trying not to slam my hand on this because this is something very personal to me. Who helps you celebrate? Who is there? Who wants to go do the things and enjoy all the stuff and put in the hard work? And who resents it? Who tears you down? Who wants to talk about what a piece of shit you were that one night when you got a little tipsy and you told them they were a dick when you were 17? Who wants to resent it? Who wants to talk about what a crappy person you were when you were in the midst of addiction? When you were just going through a divorce and you didn't have time for anybody else? Who resents it just because it's not them? Pay attention. You don't owe loyalty or equal loyalty to people who have never shown it to you. Ever. It isn't cruelty. It isn't being an asshole. It isn't being mean. It's discernment. It's a boundary. If someone would not drop everything to go pick you up on the side of the road because you had a flat tire, would you really do it for them? Most of us would, because we're good people. You don't owe equal loyalty to people that have never shown it to you. That isn't cruelty, it's discernment. When you choose to save yourself, that is not choosing to abandon others. And people want to make it that way. People want to talk about it that way. If you're saving yourself, then you're abandoning everybody else. And that is so far from the truth. If you were the pilot on a commercial airline, there's what, 200 people on that plane. And you saw that there was something going on and you had to make the decision to save yourself. You're also saving the plane because you're in the plane, right? They're not going to be like, I'm out. I'm going to just go ahead and take a parachute. See ya. There's a big difference in parachuting out of a situation and abandoning people and saving yourself. There's a huge difference. So many of us were raised to believe that saving ourselves meant letting someone else down. Let that sink in a minute, because I guarantee you, if you are Gen X, if you are a millennial, especially an older millennial, if you are a boomer, every one of us was raised that if you saved yourself, it meant letting someone down. And for those of you guys that are younger, don't think I'm not talking about you either. But y'all had it a little different. Because those of us that were raised like this tried not to instill that in you. Well, some of us did. If you choose yourself, you're leaving other people behind. But I want you to listen really, really carefully to this next part. And it's something that I talk about all the time. But I'm going to put it in very plain terms today, okay? You can't rescue anyone if you're bleeding out. I usually use the analogy of being on an airplane and securing your mask before you help someone else, because you can't help someone else if you're on the floor. But I wanted to put it very plainly today. You can't rescue anyone while you bleed out. But saving yourself isn't as easy as it seems to be. Oh, well, I can just not be in that situation. I can just not be friends with that person anymore. I can just not answer when they call at 2 o'clock in the morning because, they want to whatever. Saving yourself is a lot different than what people think it is. And this is the main part I really wanted to talk about today. Because I am seeing this part less and less. And we all do it. So don't think I'm just sitting here like, oh, y'all. We all do it. We put our head in the sand. And we don't want to take responsibility. We don't want to talk about anything. We don't want to do anything. Saving yourself looks like taking responsibility for your own healing, for who you are. Saving yourself looks like owning all of those patterns that you've been in without letting them define who you are. Saving yourself means stopping the cycle instead of perpetuating it or explaining it why you do it. And this next part, I want to say very carefully, and I want you guys to listen very carefully, because I've been around a lot of people lately that use this excuse. And I want you guys to really, really think about this. You are only a product of how you were raised for so long. And after that, it becomes your responsibility for who you become next. You are only a product of your raising for so long. And then you are choosing to be that. You are choosing to continue that pattern. You are choosing to continue that addiction. You are choosing to continue that because that's how you were raised. We all know somebody like that. And we all know people that make excuses for that person. Well, it's just that's how they were raised. Bullshit. The realization that you are responsible for your own self and where you go from here isn't shame, it is amazing power. When you realize that you are not who you were raised to be, that you are not the example that you saw growing up, when you realize that you get to choose who you become from here on out, that is power. Growth, once you get that power, requires responsibility. Because we're also taught that it's somebody else's fault. Well, all the men in my family have been alcoholics, and I'm a man in my family, so I got to be an alcoholic, right? Like, we're just predestined to love beer or whiskey. Oh, there's a history of abuse in my family, so therefore I'm going to do it too. Because it's how I was raised. It's their fault I'm like this. It's their fault I'm like this. And other people make that excuse too. Oh, it's their fault. It's their parents, their grandparents, etc. How many times have y'all heard, oh, they're just a product of their raising? Because they chose to be. There's a reason we name these wounds. And when you do that, that season of your life, when you're naming those wounds, that's when you name that neglect. That's when you name the harm. That's when you name the pain. That's when you name all of those hurts that have happened to you. And that sucks. That sucks. Because then you realize that you had an active part in letting that happen, letting that perpetuate. Now, for a lot of us that were on the receiving end of some of those things, we realize, damn, I could have left years ago. I could have left this job years ago. I could have left this marriage years ago. But the season when you're naming all of these hurts and neglects and pain and problems, it matters deeply. But there's also a season where you have to say, I'm not going to live my life reacting to what hurt me. How many of you guys out there have been in a toxic relationship? Whether it was a job, a marriage, friendship, family. How many of you guys? Pretty much every single one of y'all is going, right? And you made the excuse for those people at first. Well, her mom, my grandma, my great-grandma, all of them were really hard women, so that's why my mom was just really hard on me. And that's why I'm really hard on my kids. Oh, well, that boss, he learned how to be that way from his boss. And, I know he's got a lot of home. You make excuses for them, right? You make excuses for them. Because you're taught that loyalty is compliance. And then you develop problems from it. Anxiety, stress, fear, abandonment issues, anger. All those things, right? And every time you witness something similar out in public or at home or whatever, those issues come up, right? Taking accountability for not reacting to what hurt you is hard as fuck. It is hard. And as I'm going through this next part, I want you guys to remember that you didn't get those things in one day. You didn't learn those things in one day. You weren't programmed with those things in one day. And it's not going to go away in one day. And every time you get mad at yourself because that anxiety is still there, that fear is still there, that reaction is still there, I want you just to remember the old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. It took you 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, etc. to be programmed with that need to comply for that boss, that family member, that relationship, that friend. It is not going to take you just one day to unprogram all of that. But accountability is saying, this wasn't my fault, but it's my responsibility now to change it with me. I get to choose something different. I get to be something different. I'm not doomed to repeat what I survived. And I know that a lot of you guys are thinking about your own life. You thought at the beginning this was about something else. And I know right now you're thinking about your own life, the people that are in it, the things you've gone through, etc. And some of y'all had an aha moment when I'm saying this. But I also know that if you stop and you step back and you look at the world around us, you will see where this has become the norm. People being doomed to repeat what they survived. People refusing to change what they were a product of. Because sacrifice, kindness doesn't mean that you self-erase. When you're kind to somebody else, it doesn't mean that you're giving up who you are. When you have compassion for somebody else, it doesn't mean you're giving up who you are. Compassion doesn't require you to betray who you are. But you can help other people without becoming the emotional landfill for them to just verbally give you all the junk all the time. You get the trash. You don't have to be that person. That is not helping someone. That's enabling them. You can be loving without being endlessly available. I used to always have my phone on. Always. 24 hours a day. Not anymore. Not anymore. I have learned to turn my phone on Do Not Disturb. I have learned to turn my ringer off. I have learned that when there are things I need to do for me, I don't need distractions. If it's an emergency, it's different. But for someone to call and just want to chit-chat about this or that, it's not an emergency. Am I all about hearing about the new boots that you bought? Fuck yeah, I am. But it's not an emergency and I can't do it right now. I need to sleep. I need to work. I'm in an appointment. You can be loving without being endlessly available for somebody. You can care without carrying what isn't yours. And that is very, very difficult to unprogram yourself from, because we all get programmed. And here's the thing, it's not gender specific. It's not race specific. It's not culture specific. We are all programmed to carry shit for other people. My kid and I have this discussion all the time about what women are programmed with and about what men are programmed with. All of it's bullshit. But if you think about it, from the time you saw princess movies as a kid, Cinderella, Snow White, etc., Prince Charming comes and saves you from the evilness that is your stepmother or whatever, right? But what happens after that? What happens after that? You met this dude at a dance, broke your shoe, and now you're married. The fuck? And for dudes, it's no different. Look at my eye twitching. You see things like Hercules, cartoons as a kid, right? He-Man, G.I. Joe. You got to be big and strong. Muscular. Don't cry. Don't show them that you have weakness. Right? And that's just scratching the surface. You can be loving without being endlessly available. You can be caring without carrying what is not yours to carry. You don't have to be the emotional support human for everybody around you. Even if you've been programmed to. Boundaries are not walls. Boundaries are doors with locks. You can open those doors. You can open those locks at any time you want. And you can close them at any time you want. People who are meant to stay in your life will learn how to meet you inside your boundaries, not demand access to them, not demand that you take those walls down, and vice versa. If you are meant to be in someone's life, then you will learn how to react and work inside their boundaries without demanding access to them. Because loyalty is a two-way current. You can't demand loyalty and then never give it. And you need to stop pouring loyalty into places where it just evaporates. Stop proving yourself to people who benefit from your self-doubt. And that one is a hard one. And that one is the one that has me fired up today. Continually proving yourself to someone that doesn't fucking matter. Let me take a deep breath. And I know as I said that, every single one of you thought about someone who you never feel or never felt good enough for. You were always trying to do more, be bigger, be better, do this, do that, to prove yourself to that person, and all they did was go. All they did was just downplay your accomplishments. Stop proving yourself to people who benefit from your self-doubt. Because loyalty is not measured by how much you endure. It's measured by respect, by patience, by presence, by mutual care. So now I want you to ask yourself a few questions right now. Because I know a lot of you guys are sitting there side-eyeing some people that are sitting around you. I know a lot of you guys are like really thinking hardcore about work, about your family, about all kinds of stuff, right? I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. This is homework from this sermon, okay? But I guarantee you're going to be thinking about it all day. Because I sure as fuck am. Who checks on you without being prompted? Who honors when you say no without punishment? Who wants your well-being to be solid and not just uselessness? One of the things that I realized over this last couple of weeks, and it was a hard realization, and when I say this, I want you guys to use it as a catalyst for you to think about where you are in life, okay? Not be like, I'm not saying it because of that. I want you to really think about it. I realized this week as I'm looking through furniture and stuff and getting ready to move a bunch of stuff up to the reliquary and so on, so I don't pay for storage, and so my garage is cleaned out finally and so on. I realized in looking at a whole bunch of stuff, I don't have friends here. And that was a realization. I sat back and I was like, oh shit. Sass and I were on the phone and we were talking because I had to move some stuff around, cancel some things, etc. because I had no one to come and check on my house, watch my dogs, etc. And Sass said, it's pretty bad when you have people that would come across the country to watch your dogs before you have somebody that would drive 20 minutes. And when she said that, I was like, yeah, I don't have any friends here. And then I went, ouch. Ouch. Who can you count on where you are? Who can you count on? Unfortunately, most of us can name it on one hand, right? Are you keeping yourself in a place where there is nobody that you can count on? Are you holding on to something that is comfortable in lieu of actually having people that support you? Let that sink in a minute. Because when you start choosing yourself, everything will change. When you start choosing yourself, you stop explaining your worth to other people. And that's hard. It's hard to unprogram that. You stop shrinking so you can stay included in things that no longer are for you. You stop calling all this survival love. You start becoming clear-headed. You start becoming steady. You start becoming stronger. You start becoming harder to manipulate and easier to trust. And guess what? Some people are going to be pissed as fuck when you start choosing you. Some people are going to be so mad and so angry, and they're going to yell and scream and kick and fight and do whatever it is that they need to do to try to pull you back in. And there are some people that will fall away when you stop being their emotional landfill. There are some people that will just fade out when you are no longer available to bleed out for them. Let them. Let them. Because those people that remain, those are the real friends. Those are the real people that love you. Those are the people that are loyal to you. And those are the people that you need to put your time, your loyalty, and your effort into. I want you guys to make a vow to yourself today. And I'm going to do the same thing. We're all going to make this vow together by ourselves. Not to be perfect, not to isolate yourself, not to be super hard, not to cut people off, not to be feral, not to be a dick, not to whatever. But just to be honest and loyal. And to be honest to your own loyalty. May you be loyal to your own healing. May you honor where you came from without letting it dictate where you're going. And may you remember that you are allowed to save yourself. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to be different than you were yesterday, or 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 50 years ago. You are allowed to choose who walks with you. You are allowed to choose you.